So we are going to be starting another course in this video series. We are going to be working on JavaScript. Yes, so our first course was Python, and now we're moving on to another language called JavaScript. And JavaScript is such an interesting language. It's actually the most popular coding language in the entire world. So I really think that this course we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot of new things, and we're going to be JavaScript pro coders. So the first thing that we're going to work on, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about what JavaScript actually is. So what is it, guys? Like, we all know it's a programming language, right? But what does it do? JavaScript makes web pages interactive. Yes, so most of the times we associate JavaScript with two other languages, HTML and CSS. So these three languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, they go hand in hand. They're like family, right? So HTML and CSS are the two languages that make up a website. They are designing the static components of the website. Everything you see, all the shapes, the colors, the text, that's all HTML, CSS. However, when you go on a website, you click things actually happen, right? So let me go ahead and make this slideshow. By using JavaScript, we can turn these static components and static elements into things that actually can start moving, right? We make these websites come alive by using JavaScript. So, for example, right now, if I click something on my computer, there's something that happens, right? I click this and it goes to a different slide. I click this one and it goes to another slide. This is all JavaScript working in the background, making things come to life. So JavaScript is really the behind the scenes person that's directing all the movement back there. So the first thing I think, guys, that we're going to do is we're going to go do a quick 5-term Quizlet. And this is going to be very quick and fast, and we're going to kind of just talk about a little bit of vocab that we might want to know when in our JavaScript course. So what is JavaScript? JavaScript is an object-oriented computer programming language commonly used to create interactive effects within browsers. Now you're probably saying, hold up, Sunny, what does that mean? Object-oriented computer programming languages, that's just a certain type of way that you can program. For example, Python was also object-oriented programming. It's very popular right now, so knowing how to do this is really helpful. And we create interactive effects in browsers. So now the next thing we're going to work on is what is HTML, CSS? So in this course, we're not really going to learn about HTML, CSS that much. We will be connecting JavaScript to HTML, CSS, but in order to really understand, we need to kind of have a good idea of what HTML, CSS is. So these are the two languages that are used to design and style the static components of a website, like we've mentioned before. Now this is the billion-dollar question. How does JavaScript connect with HTML, CSS? So JavaScript allows these static components of the website to interact with each other and create some movement. So by using JavaScript, we make things actually happen instead of just looking at a nice, pretty picture on our website. What is an HTML tag? So HTML tags look like this. They have the greater than or equal to, kind of like angle brackets, and then they have the tag name inside. These tag names are going to be useful when we're working with JavaScript because we're going to use these tag names to use JavaScript to connect effects to each HTML tag. So yes, even though we're not learning HTML, CSS in this course, we still need to have a pretty good idea as we go of what's going on in the front-end development. So HTML, CSS is front-end because it's working on things that you see in the front, whereas JavaScript is back-end, working on things behind the scenes. Last one, I don't know what's going on with my Quizlet today. It's not loading, but what is the tag that all JavaScript code gets put in? Let's go ahead and edit this. It's actually going to be the script tag. So we're going to come in, script, and we're going to put JS code here. That's where all our JavaScript code goes, and we're going to end the script tag. So essentially, all of our JavaScript code will go in the script tag. Now, we're going to be using Replit, so things are going to be looking a little bit different. But most professional programmers, all of it goes in the script tag here. All right, so we finished our Quizlet. Pretty good. We kind of have a pretty good idea of what JavaScript now. 2 words I want you to remember: movement and interaction. Maybe I'll add a third one. Make websites alive. Actually, that's more of a phrase, but we'll go with it. So now we're going to actually start to work on some things in JavaScript. So let's go to Repl.it, repl.it. For those of you who are new to our channel, this is the in-browser IDE that we will be using to code. So we're going to click New REPL. You probably need an account to do this, but these accounts are very easily set up and it's very useful. Choose HTML, CSS, JS. Now I have this language favorited, but for those of you who don't, it's always going to be somewhere towards the beginning. So there's a bunch of languages down here, but it's going to be somewhere in the first 20 because this is a really popular language. So click on that. Name it whatever you would like. Mine is called Free Light Blue Implementation. Okay, and we create our REPL here. So when we create our REPL, I kind of want to show you guys the layout because we not really used HTML, CSS / JavaScript in REPL.it before. So let's kind of introduce this. This front page that you see over here, this is HTML. And I know, guys, it looks really confusing. You're like, what in the world is this math or is this coding? Why do I see so many greater than equal to brackets? It's okay. Calm down. For now, in this lesson, we're just going to be looking at this. But in the future, we will be looking more at what this is. However, I think since we're focusing mainly on JavaScript this course, I will be providing you with some HTML, CSS that you can just copy paste into this area, and then we will go from there. But that is for a later lesson. Now, this next page is called style.css. As you can see, this is empty. This is where you style your different HTML elements. We will be working a little bit with that in the future, not today though. And last but not least, we have script.js. This is where we're going to be working with a lot. This is our JavaScript code. Most of our code for JavaScript will come in here. Now, if you remember, in our Quizlet, we did mention that all the JavaScript code needed to go into the script tag, right? Now, do you guys see any script tags over here? Well, no, right? And this is where I'm going to explain how Repl.it does things a little bit differently. Technically, we should be putting our JavaScript code over here in the HTML CSS where it says script src script. This is our script tag. Our JavaScript code should be going over here. Now, since we want to separate all the 3 languages, Repl.it has very kindly organized this for us. And what it's done is it's saying script src equals script.js. And what it's saying is it's saying for your script, for all your JavaScript, the source is going to be from script.js. So what it's doing is it's saying all of your JavaScript, instead of looking for it on this document, go to script.js, which happens to be the name of this file, and go implement the JavaScript code in this file. So now in Repl.it, we don't need to use the script tag. We will just go ahead and write our JavaScript code in this area. Okay, so all introductions done. We have a pretty good idea of what we're going to be doing in this JavaScript course. Let's jump right in. Okay, so first slide that we're going to do is the classic programming sort of intro to JavaScript, intro to Java, all those languages project. We're going to be printing hello world to the console. Now, the console is going to be one of our best friends in this entire course. The console is a back-end terminal that we use to print messages, whether it's us printing messages intentionally or it's error messages getting printed to the console. Console is our best friend. So hands down, I love our console. Okay? So we're going to print a message to the console, and we're going to use the function console.log. Now, because we are all creative people, we are not going to use the standard hello world message. We can make our own, right? Because we are different. So we're going to say console.log. Now, if you've used other languages before, you probably know what's going on here. Printing things to the console is a general idea that is used in every language. But in Python, it's print. In Java, it's system.out.println. In JavaScript, it's console.log. So just something to keep in mind there to remember. So we're going to do console.log, and we're going to print out Welcome to our JavaScript course. Okay, and then when we run our code, we see in our console, we get welcome to our JavaScript course. So we've successfully printed a message to our console. Let's have a little bit more fun here, console.log. Still console.log, we can say, in this course, we will have lots of fun. And then fun fact about me, I want a puppy, but my parents won't let me. Now that is the first thing I will do when I turn 18. I will get a puppy, just for your information. Okay, so now let's run our code and we see, welcome to our JavaScript course. In this course, we will have lots of fun and I want a puppy, but my parents won't let me. Side note, I will be getting one when I'm old enough. Okay, so we've seen how we can print messages to our console. We just simply use one line, console.log with the parentheses. Now, in this case, I wanted to point something out here. Because we are printing out text, and in this case, text is called a string. We will get into data types in our next video. But since we are printing out our own custom text that we write right on the spot, we need to put it in quotation marks. Whether it's double quotes or single quotes, doesn't quite matter, but you need to have quotation marks around it. Just a kind of rule of thumb there. Okay? So this was console.log. We printed a message to the console. Great job, guys. First project, check. Okay, so next thing that we're going to be working with are comments. So comments are such an important topic, and this is one of the first things that everybody learns no matter what coding language we do. And I have to say, it's used quite often, right? It's easy to remember, but we need to remember to use them. Right? So comments are ignored text in the program, which is saying that when we use a comment and the compiler runs our Python code, the text in the comments gets ignored. And why is that helpful? Like, why is that good for us? Well, it's great to use for notes about your code, reminders, or if you want to temporarily temporarily ignore some part of code. And it's also great for collaboration. I'd say that when you guys finish this course and you guys are pretty good at JavaScript already and you're working with other people and collaborating with JavaScript, well, everybody's style is different. I might not know what you're working on. I don't know what this piece of code is used for. If you would so kindly leave me a comment there in the code, it would help your partner or anybody who's working with you get a better idea of what's going on in your code. So in Python, we have single and multi-line comments. So this is so helpful. Did I just say Python? I meant JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have single and multi-line comments. Now in Python, we only had single line comments, which was kind of sad sometimes, but now we have multi-line comments. So let's work with single line comments first. We do understand what single line means, right? That means only one line. Let's go ahead and show you what this means. For example, since I am showing this to you guys, I want to make a note. I want to say that in these lines, we are working on printing messages to the console. I would put a comment and I would say printing messages to the console. Now, when I run my code, we see that nothing gets affected, which is what we're going for, right? If I got rid of these two double slashes and I ran my code, you would see that we have an error right on line 1. So a single line comment is 2 slashes. So I know sometimes people get the wrong idea and they say that comments are like comment here and they put another slash at the end. That's not a comment, guys. A comment is just 2 slashes at the middle, comment. So single line is 2 slashes at beginning of comment. So that is just very, very helpful for one-line comments. Now, thankfully, in JavaScript, we have multi-line comments as well. We can span multiple lines. We can comment out multiple lines of code. And by doing this, we use //star//. As for why they chose these, I have no idea. I didn't do it, but I think sometimes it looks nice too by using //. So let's go ahead and try this out. So over here, I could say /*, that's the beginning of my comment. I would say, this is my multi-line comment. And then I would end it by doing */, right? So now this comment spans many, many lines as you would like, as long as you start it with your /* and end it with your */. Yep, so we run our code. Again, nothing goes wrong. If I get rid of one part, something's gonna go wrong. If I get rid of both parts, something's also gonna go wrong. So we always need to use our */ and /*. So just an example of when we would use this, let's just say I have a piece of code and some parts of it are working and some parts of it are not. And I want to keep this chunk of code, but I want to try it again using a different method. Well, I don't want to completely delete it because that would just get rid of everything. I could comment it out. So say I wanted to comment out these 2 lines and just leave the part where I wanted a puppy. Then I could comment this out and I would just leave line 7 about how I want a puppy but my parents won't let me get one. So we run our code and we only get that 1 line. So that code is successfully ignored. Say now that I want to bring back that code, I can just get rid of the comment, get rid of 2 characters, 2 symbols, and we are back to what we started with. Guys, so that was comments. Comments are so helpful, great for collaboration, and just as a general rule of thumb, you should always label your work. And in this video, we kind of did an introduction to JavaScript, what is JavaScript sort of thing, some vocab terms with JavaScript, you printing our first hello world message to the console, and comments. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We will have many more JavaScript videos to come in the rest of this course. In our next video, we will continue on with our first lesson, where we will work with variables and data types. So I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Looks like I'm out of battery soon, but bye!